Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of Market Mind Meals with Mike. So, what this show is going to be about, again, for anybody that's just tuning in, is I'm going to go deep on a topic, one topic, and we will talk about that topic for the next 15 minutes or so. Also, I want to go deep on any of your questions. You are the reason why I'm here, the reason why I'm doing this. I'm doing this so that way we can fit in daily time every single day to connect with you guys, to connect with your questions, the things that are most important to you. CC Brock, welcome to the live chat. Any questions that you have, drop them in. Any trading related questions. If you want to go live, let's go live. Let's chat. I'm here for you. This is what I want to do. Pandit, welcome. Again, any questions that you have, drop them in. Or if you want to go live, click the request to go live button. One of the things that were top of mind to me right now, I just got off of a coaching call. Somebody was interested in longer term investing. So for their retirements, for their children's education, stuff like that. And so they were telling me about how they were invested in a bunch of different mutual funds that their employer provided. And great their employer is providing extra income that way. Mine was too. And for a very long time, I would just go and pick the different mutual funds that they had, and I'd look at what their performance was, right? Because let's pick the ones with the highest performance. But then I read this book, Tony Robbins' Unshakable. And we were talking about this book for a little while because mutual funds are the worst. The worst for performance. Even the ones that say that they're getting you 10% or whatever, they're not really getting 10%. Like, they may have that kind of returns in the fund, but it's not what you're going to see. What you're going to see is that return minus the taxes, minus their management fees. So a 10% return can actually turn into about 6%. They're taking about 4% off the top between the taxes and between the management fees. There's actually a chart in this book, I'm trying to find it right now, that really demonstrates how this eats into your account. And once I find this, I want to show this to you because that chart is really good. It shows, here it is. So this chart here, welcome School of Rock Stars, welcome Big Kill and Naren Story. If any of you guys have questions, drop them down in the comments. I want to answer your questions first and foremost. But just to wrap up this part of the story, so you have two people here, right? Joe and David. Both of them are investing for their retirement. Both of them put in the exact amount of money, and both of the things that they're investing into provide the same rate of return. The only difference is Joe went with a ETF, an exchange traded fund, one that matches the return of the market, so the S&P 500. David went with the mutual fund. And both of them are saying that they're averaging 7 or 8% return per year. So they both put in the same amount of money, they both invest for the same amount of time, and they both start taking money out at 65. The only difference is that the ETF, the S&P 500, that index, it's not generating the same kind of taxes, right? And it's not generating all those management fees. So Joe has, at 65, he has $865,000 in his account. Amazing. And David only ends up with $548,000. How is that possible? They both had the same rate of return. The difference is that for David, he's getting fees every year and he's getting taxes every year too. Now, you might be thinking as well that, how is that possible? He just put his money in. He didn't take it out. How is he getting taxed? Because the manager that's managing that fund is churning the fund over and over again, all those trades end up getting taxed like regular income. So the fund is not generating that same 10% return that's published. It's generating that minus the taxes, minus the fees. That's the number that you really have to be interested in and look at. So at age 65, David only has that $548,000, and he only gets to take out about $60,000 per year. Doing that, he runs out of money at age 80. So hopefully he's able to move in with Joe, who invested in the ETF and is able to take out $80,000 a year in perpetuity, because he's going to run out of money. And that's what happens in your retirement account if you're not careful. You're going to end up investing in these mutual funds, end up collecting all these fees, not getting the return for it, and the only thing that you're getting is mediocre results. So if you're looking at retirement and you don't want to actively manage yourself, the best thing to do is to go with those exchange traded funds and end up holding forever. It's a different type of investing, right? Like, so one of the most important things that I think that we need to do when we're looking at any kind of trading is to figure out what our intent is, right? Because our intent for retirement is going to be far different than our intent for, say, vacation money that we just put aside. So when we develop our system around that, it'll help us develop the right type of system. How long do we want, how often do we want to even look at this thing? What's going to dictate how we enter, how we exit, how we're going to manage along the way? Are we going to stagger how we enter and exit? Right? We could have done all those different types of things when the market was starting to roll over back in October. Right? Like, you didn't have to make an all or none decision. You might have exited part of your account at one stage, then at another stage, then another stage, and then start getting back in gradually as well. Lots of ways to do this, lots of ways to make it work. It's all about figuring out a design that's going to work for you. Let's see, first question that pops in. Do you think that holds true for index funds as well? So say you get an account from an employer, right? So you have the mutual funds, right? Like, so with me, for the employer that I left last year, I was with TIAA CREF, that's what they gave us, and they had a whole bunch of mutual funds between them and Vanguard, and some of them were managed accounts. And then there were just a small handful, maybe about 3 or 4 of them, that were indexed funds. So indexed funds do work very similar to an ETF. It's just matching the index. And when you go and you look at the fees, you'll see that the managed funds have a fee of close to 1%. Doesn't sound like much, but compounded over 30 years, it ends up being a lot. That's how you end up with returns like that poor guy David had. And then you have the indexed funds, and the indexed funds only have a management fee of about 0.04% or something really, really tiny like that. And those indexed funds, they're not incurring the fees because it's just invested in one thing and it's not having that churn in the account. Alex, welcome. So let me know if that answers your question. I think that answers what I think it is, but I want to know if it answers what you think that it is. Any other questions while we're here? Oh, good. Glad that helped. So let me know. Well, what questions do you have? That's the first thing that I want to try to answer. In the meanwhile, I'll think of something else to talk about and take a swig of water. Okay. So, next thing up, earlier today I was talking about a lot of different people that you would want to follow, that you want to try to surround yourself with people that will help lift you up, people that will help push you further. some of those people. One of them's in this room right now, Alex, Trader Help 101, great guy with an amazing story. You definitely want to go and follow his account if you're here on Instagram as well. He puts out a lot of great, valuable content. I'd love to see him put out more valuable content and tell his story, because it really is an amazing story of going and doing the trading thing, ending up being homeless at one point because of certain things that he was doing, learning from that, and then coming back to it and really learning and crushing and helping people. So you want to follow Trader Help 101. Fantastic guy, very genuine, very knowledgeable on all aspects of trading. I put out a thing earlier too, that other people that you want to hang out. Oh, can you provide handle Insta for Alex? Yeah. So you just saw this guy, Trader Help 101. That's Alex. So Trader_Help 101. So go give him a follow and like some of his stuff. But the other guys too. If you're on Twitter, check out Mark Minervini. He's a market wizard, profiled in Jack Schwager's Market Wizard series. I'm almost done with this book that he wrote recently, Think and Trade Like a Champion. He won the U.S. Investing Championship twice, and just an all-around great guy. You want to listen to his stuff. Super knowledgeable. And then there's Akil Stokes, also a great trading coach, tons of great insights. He's on here on Instagram. Akil Stokes RTM is his handle. Here, I'll type that into the chat so that way you have it. Akil Stokes RTM. And I also interviewed him once on here as well, and we had a live chat. That chat's posted up on YouTube, so go check that out as well. Great content there. Rolf from Trade Society, also a great coach, traveling all around the world, doing different things, making a living off of his Forex trading. Very knowledgeable, has some great systems. I believe he developed a journaling system as well. That's an electronic journaling system, so that could help you trading. And then there's this other guy, Patrick Walker. So if you're on Twitter, he's not on Instagram yet. He's only on Twitter. I'm hoping that he'll come over to Instagram. But Patrick Walker is somebody else that you'll want to pay attention to as well. He's an IBD meetup leader, Investors Business Daily meetup. Great guy. Yeah, trades full time. Just puts out great wisdom and knowledge all the time. Just one of those people that give and give and give. So if you're on Twitter, you want to follow him as well. Patrick Walker. Let's see. Question. How did you transition to trading full time? So I transitioned last year. My last day at the day job was in November. November 1st was my last day at the day job. And I thought, leading up to transitioning into being a full-time entrepreneur, business owner, trader, coach, all these different things, I had originally thought that I needed to have like 5 years of savings in the bank before leaving the day job. I thought that my business at the time, I had this business called chartyourtrade.com. I actually sold that business to a partner that I had in there, Adam Sarhan, and I sold that business, and I thought that I had to be making at least my annual salary, or hopefully double my annual salary with this business in order to leave my day job and go do that. And well, what it was just fear. It was all just fear of wanting to be safe and secure and having all these other things lined up versus going out and doing and trusting myself. So as I'm thinking about this decision and wanting to go into it, I ended up hearing one day Mel Robbins was going live. And if you don't follow Mel Robbins on Instagram, you go check out some of her work as well. Amazing stuff. So I listened to one of her lives. She was going live at about 6 a.m. She's like never live at 6 a.m., but this day she happened to be live at 6 a.m. and I had just come in from a run. And so I start listening to it, and of course she's talking about quitting and quitting your day job. And she says, if you are in a job that you don't like and you don't quit, then guess what? You already quit. You quit on yourself. And that's something that hit me like a ton of bricks. And like, you know what? Like, yeah, I have been quitting on myself, but what about the money? Like, how much savings do you need? And she said that if you are already established and you kind of have the ball rolling and you're trying to think of going all in on this thing that you want to go all in on, then have 3 months of savings. I'm like, 3 months of savings? That sounds crazy to me. But she's like, yeah, 3 months of savings, because if you go all in on this thing that you want to be doing and you already have some momentum, if you're not able to get any kind of forward momentum at all after 3 months, then maybe it's not for you. So then it's like, okay, I have multiple years of savings already, and I want to go all in on this thing. Then it's just like, all right, time to stop putting my trust in this branch that I'm standing on. Time to put my trust in my own wings and leap into the air and try to fly. And so that's what I started doing. And then I was thinking, like, okay, like, I want to coach, I want to trade full time. And then it was more recently that I gained even more clarity that the thing that I want to do is coach, right? So I'm going all in on coaching, and I'm still trading. And trading is still, like, now it's back to being more of the part-time thing. I'm able to do a little bit more with my trades than when I was working at a day job. But my true passion is to help you guys, to help coach you. And that's what my specialty is, too. And it makes sense. The way that I got involved in trading and what got me set on this path was about 10 years ago. I found this group, this Investors Business Daily meetup group, and I started going there every month, and it was taught by a hedge fund manager, and it was taught by a couple of full-time traders. And they would give these presentations monthly, about 3 hours, and I was blown away by these presentations. They were the same level of presentations that I was getting in my grad school classes at the time. But I would go there every month, and I would consume as much information as I possibly could, take everything that I was learning from those guys and start applying it to myself. As somebody that's going to school and working full-time and doing all these other things. After a year, I went back and I showed them, like, this is what I learned from you guys, this is how I'm doing it, what do you think? And they liked what I was doing so much they wanted to start incorporating some of what I was doing into what they were doing. And that blew my mind. They're going to take some guy from the audience and start applying what they were doing to what they were doing. These were professionals. But then it dawned on me that if they're willing to do that, then I have something that's worth sharing. Because all I did was I took what they were doing and I made it work for me. I took their processes that were working for them full time and I turned it into a part-time process that works for me and was successful with it. So if I'm able to do that, then maybe I have something that's worth sharing on a much grander scale, and that's what set me on this path. And I want to do more of that. I want to help more people that are trying to take all the stuff that they're learning in books like this and in other books and help them apply it to their lives and be able to get to that next level no matter where you're at, no matter if you're trying to trade full-time or you're trying to incorporate this stuff part-time, build a little bit more money, or whatever it is that you're trying to do. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. That's my purpose. That's why I'm here. So let's see. Other question that came in. Hard to leave that security when you have a wife and family. Yeah, I have a wife and family too. I have a 3-year-old daughter. I have a wife that recently, about a year before me, she left her job to be a full-time writer. I think that a big part of what we're trying to do is we look at our time. Well, we look at our time here, right? We're only alive for a short amount of time in the grand scheme of things. Do we really want to look back when we're 80 years old and think, you know what? Like, what if I did that thing? Well, whatever that thing is. Well, too late. And that's it, right? Or do we want to take the risk and actually go and do the thing? It doesn't mean that you just jump out of a moving car and you roll out on the street and hope for the best. Like you start to think about what it is that you want to do, and you find ways to start to do that thing, and you start building momentum that way each day. Like you don't just like you can go out and run 100 miles tomorrow and have zero training. It's been done. If you've never heard of this guy, check out David Goggins. He just wrote this book, Can't Hurt Me. He's somebody that ran 100 miles on a whim, zero training, and was able to do it. He paid the price for doing that, had a couple of broken legs, crapped himself during the race, but he finished 100 miles with zero freaking training, and that's incredible. And he's done a million other amazing things. It's like figuring out what you want and going and doing it. And then you could also think about too, like, okay, I was able to go and do this thing. What would be a better way to go and do it? And don't get too caught up in your head either. Like you start to think through some of these ways to go and do it, and then you figure out a way to start executing. The execution is the most important part, not having the perfect plan. You have to be willing to fail in order to succeed, because it's in the failures that we start to learn, right? Like, so we go into, like, for David, he figured out, like, okay, if I go and I run 100 miles and I'm not fully prepared, I'll be able to do it, but I'm going to have a miserable time. So how can I do better? How can I perform better? For trading, okay, I want to put on this trade, but I don't want to lose my entire life savings. So how can I do that in a way that I could start to learn? All right, so maybe I don't trade with everything that I have. Maybe I start with a small amount. Maybe if I have $10,000, maybe I start with $1,000 and see what I'm able to do with that. Okay, now how do I manage my risk? Oh, that trade didn't work. What elements of that trade didn't work? How can I find a way that works better for me? What might be a better entry point? What might be a better exit point? How can I plan this a little bit better? What sorts of strategy or methodologies resonate with me a little bit more? How can I design a system that lets me trade and do all of my work at night or on the weekend, and during the trading day, I don't need to look at Jack. It's just going to work because I already placed the orders. And I don't need to look at the market during the day at all. How do I design a system like that? It's those kind of things, those kinds of questions that are really going to help. And it's building that momentum again and not being afraid to fail. Figuring out how to manage the risk. Bunch of new people just signed on. Thank you guys for jumping in. If you have any questions at all, please drop them in the comments. I'm here. I want to help you. Let's see. Trading allows you to do both. No need to rush. Yeah, you definitely don't need to rush into trading. You do need to start taking action. Again, if you're looking for the perfect plan doesn't exist. You could be trading until you're 100 and still be getting progressively better each time. The key is to start getting that momentum. You want to start journaling so that way you're learning from yourself. The market's going to give you feedback on every single trade. It's up to you to take that feedback, learn from it, adjust, and grow each and every time. And that's how you get better and better and better. Let's see. Regret is bad. Regret is one of the worst things that you could have. It's I could think of so many examples. Friends, family, myself, from like not doing the thing or hesitating, or even going to Evan's first workshop in May. So this guy, Evan Carmichael, if you don't know who he is, go check him out. He's on Instagram. He's crushing everything, does a lot of top 10 rules of success on this person, on that person, gives you a ton of exposure on a wide variety of industries. And what the thing that I almost didn't do was go to his workshop that he held last May on how to be an influencer and make money well with your ideas, how to be a thought leader. And I had a bunch of reasons why I almost didn't go. I almost didn't go because my wife had just left her job and we were figuring out how to survive on just one income. This was before I left my day job to go all in on coaching and all this. So how are we going to survive on one income? Then there was, I needed to renew my passport in about a month. and figuring out how to do that and make that happen. And then it was getting the time off from work, because that was a challenge at the time too. So 3 major things that almost held me back from going on this path. And my wife and I sat down and we thought about it, and it's like, you know what? The universe is calling to you. You need to go do this, and we'll figure out a way to make the money work. It's like, okay, off to Toronto to go see if what this is about and see where it leads. Just follow your heart. And here we are. Less than a year later, and since then, sold a business, quit the day job, created this new business, connecting with people from all around the world, coaching them, and trying to build something incredible and on this path. Like, I don't know exactly where this path is going to lead. I have a vision. I know that I want to help as many people as I possibly can that are trying to be a trader and to get over that hump. I know that eventually I want to get to a point where I'm doing all that I can to eliminate things like poverty, help those that want to reach financial freedom get there. And it's from all the past that I had growing up too. I grew up poor. I grew up at one point. I was homeless when I was like 6 years old. It was rough going through that as a 6-year-old. And I know that I don't want anybody else to experience that too. So that plays into what I'm trying to do here, because I know that financial education is the key. If you are financially educated, you don't need to put your family through that kind of stuff. And it's something that's achievable. You don't need special knowledge. Shit, like, I was just some guy sitting in the audience of some meetup group, and now I have professional hedge fund managers taking advice from me. Like, if I can figure out how to do this stuff, like, anybody can do it. It's just a little bit of knowledge, focused attention, and asking yourself the right questions and getting there. And building the environment to help get you there too. So I know that that's my path. I know that that's where I want to be. I'm going along this. And that's what drives me. And when you're doing the thing that you're passionate about, the thing that you love, that pushes you so much further, where you have this energy. And some people might come to you and say, like, God, well, where's all this energy come from? Well, it comes from that passion of doing the thing that you want to do. Like, if you're stuck in a job and you don't want to be there, like, that'll suck the life out of you. That sucked the life out of me. Like, I could do this until midnight. Right? Like, I could gladly stay on here with you until midnight and not lose energy, but doing some meaningless job that doesn't fulfill me, doing that for an hour, that'll suck the life out of me. So that's why I'm here. That was a rant. I'm not sure where. Let me go scroll back through the comments, because I'm not sure what started me off on that tangent. But glad I feel like there was a lot of value in that. Let's see what other stuff is coming in. Yep, regret. Yeah, the regret part. So how do I handle regret right now? Right now, I don't know if I have regrets right now. Right now, I have habits and processes that are keeping me on this path. So, and routines. Like, you see me post my morning routine, and I'm posting that. I'm in the habit of posting that more or less every day. I want to start posting it every day. And I posted to Twitter yesterday, and it was like the most viral thing that I ever posted. I had like 40,000 freaking impressions. That blew my mind. And some people like were dropping negative comments on it too. Like that kind of was interesting too. But it's having the process where like you get up every morning, you start your day. For me, starting my day with meditation, I do that Tony Robbins priming exercise, which is great. Like there's a whole big gratitude part of it in there, in visualizing 3 things that you want to try to achieve, and then going and doing and celebrating and get all this energy, and it's a great way to rev yourself up for the day. Then daily exercise, that's real important too. So I'm putting myself in a great state every single day, and I'm not living with like different regrets anymore, right? Because like now I'm focused on getting to where I want to get to. Later in the day, later in the afternoon, soon after I jump off of here, then I meditate. So I'm meditating twice, really, like once to start the day, that Tony Robbins priming thing, and then I'm doing a mindfulness meditation where I'm closing my eyes and observing my thoughts, right? So just seeing like, well, what pops in and letting those thoughts go and getting into that kind of habit and being detached from the thought itself, because we're not our thoughts, right? We are not our thoughts. Like, well, we're the awareness of our thoughts, and it's a different way. It's a different perspective, and when we have that perspective, that's something that allows us to trade a lot better too. Because if we're having these thoughts of fear or frustration or whatever it is, and we're attached to that in the moment in the market, then we might act a certain way. But if we're able to remain detached from that and just see when those thoughts start to pop into our head and allow them to just float by, then it makes trading a lot more easier, a lot more fluid. Let's see. What are the questions? What do you say about risk management? I think that managing risk is a lot simpler than most people think. I think that managing risk starts with the individual. I think that we all have our own taste for risk. So one person might be comfortable risking, say, 1% of their capital on every single trade. Somebody else might be comfortable risking 5%. Some people might want to risk only 0.5%. There's like a million different ways that we can manage risk. For me, in most circumstances, I like to start out risking 1% of my trading capital. So I'll take a look at where I want to enter, where I want to exit, and then I'll calculate based off of that how many shares can I buy, and I'll risk 1% of capital. So to keep it real simple, $10,000 account, risking 1% means that I'm going to risk $100 on that trade. So I'll start out risking that. Then, as I start to make progress, I want to risk a little bit more with the profits. So I'll start out with that 1%, and then with the profits, I'll risk more of the profits. So I'll risk like maybe 2% of the profits, right? So let's say I get to $20,000. So $10,000 profit, $10,000 starting capital. So I risk 1% of the starting capital. So that's that 10%, or $100 risk, and then 2% of the profit. So that would be $200, right? So on that $20,000 account now, I'm actually risking $300 per trade. 1% of that first 10,000, and then 2% of that second 10,000. So it's a model. It's a position sizing model called Markets Money. It's in this book over here. Where is it? Oh, hold on one second. I'll go grab the book. It's in this book here called The Definitive Guide to Position Sizing by Van Tharp. This is an excellent read if you guys are interested in that one. Let's see. What other questions do we have? So handling regret, spoke about that. Managing risk, spoke about that. Love the market. Got some googly eyes and great insight. So, thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate the kind words. So, unless if you guys have any other questions, glad to sit and chat with you a bit more. So, any questions that you have, pop them in. I'm here. I want to help you guys. If there are no other questions, then I'm going to jump off and grab some lunch, meditate, and then jump into the rest of my schedule. Got a few other things lined up for today. Gonna tackle those things. And yeah, planning is one of those things that helps me just tackle a lot of stuff during the day. Most of the time, I'm making this schedule at night. So like I'll plan tomorrow ahead of time, and I have a template that I'm following each day, like what I'm going to do this day, that day, that day. So today is a coaching day. Tomorrow is going to be an outreach day. So reaching out to different meetups, reaching out to different conferences to try to get on and talk to their panels, all different stuff like that. Having dedicated days for different things is one of the things that helps you move a lot faster. Chunking time. Tim Ferriss talks about that a lot too. Let's see, another question. How do you handle emotions versus risk? How do I handle emotions versus risk? So I would first understand what risk is to the individual. For me personally, I would look at the position size and what I'm comfortable with. So I'll put on a trade, and I know exactly where I'm going to get in, where I'm going to get out, how much I'm going to risk. But I'll also look at it from a couple of different perspectives, a couple of different time frames too, because I may want to enter at $100 and I may want to exit at 95, but maybe earnings is tomorrow, and I need to plan for that gap down to 90 or 85, and then how do I manage that? How do I think that through? So it's looking at the possibilities of what can happen, and then trying to plan for all different types of scenarios, putting the trade on, and then seeing what happens. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, and things happen that are within the plan, and I'm able to execute based off of the plan that's there. Every so often, you get caught off guard. And then what happens? Well, you take that information and you incorporate it. So, hey, maybe now I plan for Robinhood going down and I can't trade, right? That's something that happened about a month and change ago. I had some options trades on, and something happened with them, and I couldn't sell my calls. I had calls in Facebook, and our call credit spreads. I had some kind of trade. I forget exactly what the trade was, but it was working dramatically in my favor. Thank God. And I wanted to sell and lock in the profits, but I couldn't because I was locked out of the account. Didn't plan for that part, so now what do I do? Well, I could go and reverse the trade in another account that I have. So I have Interactive Brokers, I have an E-Trade account. So maybe I go over to there and put on the reversal trade, so that way it's like kind of capping whatever else might happen in the Robinhood account. There's a lot of different ways that we could figure out what to do if one account isn't working. How do we go and execute in another account? It's figuring out these different types of scenarios. Some of it comes with experience, like there's no substitute for experience, but we could learn from other people's experiences too. We don't necessarily have to feel all the pain ourselves. That's part of why I'm doing what I'm doing here and talking through some of the stuff too, because you may not read everything in a book. Things may not resonate differently from one person from another person, so it helps to tell it in your own way. Right? So that's one of the reasons why, I love Alex's story. I want to hear it from his perspective. I'm looking forward to seeing that video. If I'm not pushing hard enough, then let me push you a little more. Really want you to go and put that out. Your story is amazing. Let's see, what other questions came in? Oops, sorry, that was supposed to be prayer hands as thank you for your help and calming motivation. Either way, very glad to be here and to help you, Voidus. So, let's see, a couple of other people joined in. Jimmy the Trader, welcome. Yeah. Any other questions while we're here? If there are no other questions, then I'm going to close down. This was originally scheduled for 15 minutes. I think that we're closing in on 45 minutes. So these sessions can go a pretty long time, and then at the hour mark, Instagram just cuts you off. So think I'll end things here. I want to say thank you so much for joining me during this Market Mind Meals with Mike. I'm going to go have a meal right now, and I'll see you guys back here again tomorrow. Peace out, everybody.